Live. All right, we're live now.
Cynthia, over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening to everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. My name is Cynthia Menga. I am the User Experience Product Owner for Open Energy Labs, and I will be your moderator for this wonderful panel discussion. I have three wonderful panelists with us that will help us with our topic of the day, and which is does digital transformation, what does digital transformation mean in today's business environment, where we are seeing several businesses are trying to go digital and they have different strategies to go about it. So we are just going to talk about that, and our panelists will give us insights to that matter. At this moment, before we proceed, I would like to just give 1 minute each to our panelists to introduce themselves. We can start with Alex.
Hi, can you hear me okay? Yes, good. So my name's Alex Kyle. I'm a New Zealander living in London. I'm the managing director of a charity called Loop, Talk to Loop. We are in Zambia, working with Zambian Governance Foundation and NGOCC with the support of Bongo Hive, enabling people who receive humanitarian or development aid to feed back on it in an open and transparent way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Could we have Wyson next?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My full name is Wyson Lungu. I'm the founder and CEO for Onyx Connect. I'm a pure entrepreneur who's an advocate for social and economic empowerment for the last mile, where most of the players actually don't operate in that space. So I'm happy to be one of the pioneers. I also have over 15 years of telecoms experience. So I'm the first pioneer of the first mobile money in Zambia, Airtel Money, and also one of the pioneers in the digital transformation space, or using smartphones for KYC. So this is very exciting and looking forward to the engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Wyson. Sulumesi?
Thank you very much. My name is Sulumesi Maboshe. I lead the technology projects at Bongo Hive Consult. So as part of the solutions we provide, it's user experience design, software development, and innovation and entrepreneurship as a consultancy. So really pleased to be on the panel, especially having worked with both Alex and Wyson on their projects. So yeah, really, really excited to be here.
Thank you very much, Sulumesi. So for our first question, I'll start with the one who went last. So Sulumesi, could you just help us with, in your own words, what do you think digital transformation is, and why is it important in today's business environment?
Thanks. Yeah, an important question, a fundamental question, not an easy answer, but I'll give you some of the thinking that comes to mind when someone talks about digital transformation, especially if someone were to walk through the doors of Bongo Hive and ask this. So this is around how do I use technology to improve my process? It could be my business, it could be my product, it could be my service. So a lot of it is around, at least the way that we think of it is, how do you take the next step? Some people are very excited by technology. So for example, having never used a mobile phone, someone might want to jump all the way to having a mobile app, a website, and all these kinds of things. We try to think of it as how do you get from 0 to 1, and for a typical person coming into Bongo Hive's doors, 0 to 1 might be how do we get onto USSD and SMS. For the next person who's on USSD and SMS, that might be how do I get from that onto, for example, WhatsApp and things like this. So it's mostly around asking questions about how digital can help you get into market faster or speed up your operations. And I think there's lots of opportunities here for us to explore and for us to talk about together during the panel discussion today.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. I like how you say, how you started it by saying it's you're trying to see how you use technology to improve your operations, right? Wyson, to that regard, could you tell us a bit about the pay-as-you-go bicycle app and how you actually led this initiative in terms of the digital transformation bit?
Right, thank you very much for that opportunity. Basically, I'm just gonna probably just give it a little bit of context. First and foremost, to answer the question, is digital transformation relevant in businesses? The answer is yes. Digital transformation is everything for businesses. Without digital transformation, pretty much you can't do almost anything that requires robust movement or scaling without the use of technology, especially in the digital space. And as an entrepreneur, basically what we wanted to achieve was being able to interface with the customer remotely instead of physical. And at the time, we were working with Bongo Hive. Actually, that was 2020. That's when actually the COVID pandemic actually hit. So you can imagine the solution that we were actually pursuing with Bongo Hive became even so relevant for us because we wanted to see how we can be able to engage different customers, both on the mass market side and also high value customers, by making sure that we actually are moving with the customers, because that's what digital transformation does for you. So we came up with an idea where we wanted to reach the mass market using USSD code. And then also for those in the high value category, we wanted to make sure that they can be able to access our services through the bicycle pay-as-you-go app, which is on Play Store. And Bongo Hive pretty much came to our rescue and provided what a roadmap would be for us to actualize what we were envisioning in terms of interacting with the customers. So the journey was very interesting, like I mentioned, because COVID was just coming up. I think it was a first wave in 2020, around December, January, February, somewhere there. So, but that didn't stop us from actually engaging into the project. In fact, this is where now digital transformation makes sense, because Silumesi and team and myself, pretty much the entire process, we actually never met physically. So we did everything online via digital platform, Zoom, Teams, and then of course we were exchanging information via WhatsApp and other digital platforms that were available at the time. So you can imagine if digital technology was not available, how difficult it would have been. One would have canceled our rollout plan, because then would have waited until we can be able to meet physically, which was not possible at that time. Secondly, it would mean that we would have lost in terms of our rollout plan, because any plan involves money. And you know, if you wait from 2020 to 2021, you can imagine the exchange rate of the kwacha to the dollar jumped from around the discussion we're having with Sulumesi, that I think that the dollar to the kwacha was around 12, and then it came almost to 23 kwacha. So you can imagine we would have had some losses if it wasn't for digital transformation. So in a nutshell, that's what digital transformation can be able to do to a business, can be able to do to customers who want to access services, and it provides an interrupted flow, both of products and services, as well as information. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that insightful bit, Wyson. Alex, in terms of you coming from a social sector, with the project Loop, how has it been like leading the digital transformation in that area?
Yeah, I think the digital revolution is going to really upend the way that humanitarian and development aid is done at the moment globally. And we can see that by, you can use technology, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, SMS, voice, to speak to many millions of people directly, one-to-one, but at scale. And that is can really disrupt the way that systems have been set up to happen at the moment. So some of the exciting ways that Loop is involved in that is closing the digital divide. So people who are maybe not literate, people who maybe don't speak English or a majority language, people who are not comfortable text messaging, they can feedback through Loop through using their voice on a short code free text message that will be coming soon. So we're really excited about trying to build that technology, and then it will go up on the digital platform so other people can see it and engage with it. And Loop will close that feedback by sending somebody's written reply in another language back to them in their language of choice on their phone when they have access and the battery charge. So that's a super exciting example of the digital revolution having an impact. Another one is non-machine translated languages and looking at moderation and how can we start to bring those languages onto people who speak those languages onto global platforms more. I think that's accelerating at pace. So Loop is involved in some of that. The other area is about data security. I think no matter what we're working on in the business and the private sector, data protection is really important. And in Zambia, you've had some recent changes in law around that, and just ensuring a safe, anonymous mechanism. So with Loop, people can report anonymously and safely, and the data is separated and separated out so you can't identify the individual. But they can still report something safely, and that we can then manage that report accountably. Yeah, so that would be my main points. It's super exciting. There's so much to be done. I really feel like we're just at the cusp of what we can change, how we can change business, but also aid and the social sector.
Thank you. I can see both you, that is the pay-as-you-go bicycle project and the Loop project are really doing magnificent work, especially in terms of things that are affecting people every day. So it's amazing to hear your stories and how you've used the digital transformation to just bridge in the different gaps. So Messi, coming from Bongo Hive Consult, you know, you guys have worked with both Loop and pay-as-you-go in their projects. What have you noticed are the biggest hindrances in terms of implementing a successful digital transformation?
Yeah, so this one is it's a multi. I think there's I guess we're learning as we go as well, but there seem to be some threads which are common across the board. So one of them, for example, is when it comes to integrating with third parties. This could be at times this could be payments, at times this could be the mobile service providers. There are challenges. So it looks like you have to have lots of different conversations with different people, and those conversations kind of move at different paces. It would be nice to have, in a sense, a central place to be able to have this, or at least a consistent flow. And I'm sure both Alex and Wyson can speak to this when it comes to, for example, setting up a short code. The process seems to be straight, but once you have that short code, integrating it with the different providers, there's different ways to do this, not necessarily consistent. And then on the payment side as well, I guess with mobile money wallets coming on board and things like this, it's harder to integrate with some versus others. And again, it would be nice if there was a streamlined way for us to do this. This is not to say that things are not improving. We have, I think, come leaps and bounds, and I think the pandemic, for all the damage that it's done, has definitely helped to accelerate how responsive third parties are to this. So those are some of the things that come to mind. From a client's perspective, as you're coming in and maybe you're imagining, say you're a startup or you are the service provider, an NGO, a business, private sector, and so on. Thinking through what your processes look like takes time. So the design of the solution can take quite a bit of time, and both Wyson and Alex will be able to attest to how much investment they put into just figuring out, is this solution the one that we want to build? So thinking through that, the user experience design and things like that does take time. So as you're thinking about digital transformation, just be alive to and aware of the fact that the exploration will likely take you in places that you didn't intend to go to or think about going to at the beginning, but the investment will be worthwhile at the end in the long term.
Thank you very much, Solomesi. Alex, would you like to also highlight for us what challenges you have faced in terms of leading the digital transformation under the Loop project?
Yeah, so much like Wyson, we were working with Bongo Hive during the COVID period as well. So some people might say that that was a challenge, but it also presented opportunities, and that it forced a lot of people to get online and connected when they probably were just thinking about it and didn't have the same drive that they needed to as organizations. So it was a challenge in that we couldn't physically be present. We couldn't sit in meetings and brainstorm things together to move it a bit faster. But at the end of the day, I think it built a stronger team. So Solomesi and his team were working with NGOCC and ZGF in Zambia to design and develop and roll out Loop. So that was great. I think similar to what Solomesi said, we had some delays in integrating our short code with the different mobile operators, so 3 of the different mobile operators, and that not being a consistent sort of cohesive process has taken us longer than expected. But once we do have it, it will be really quite a significant thing, so worth the wait. And I think fundamentally, sort of stepping back a bit, change is always difficult. So people are used to the way they always have done things. And what we're proposing with Loop sort of signifies something quite different, and it takes quite a long time for people to understand the concept, sort of think about what does that mean for me on a day-to-day basis and how I do my work and my activities. And it's hard to sell something when it's not completely finished with all of the bells and whistles. So you need to really get those early adopters online first, and to test it and to improve it, and then build from there and hope that you'll get that sort of avalanche of adoption over time that really brings it to fruition.
Thank you very much, Alex. Wyson, would you also like to give us some insights on some of the struggles or challenges you faced during your digital transformation?
Yeah, I think before I even go to that, I think I just wanted to echo the sentiments from Alex. I think the goal for digital transformation for us as Onyx was being able to position ourselves for scaling. I think scaling here is a key word. So if you want to reach a number of people in the shortest possible time, basically you need digital technology. I'll give you a classical example. We are dealing with a women's group in Southern Province, and these women groups so far have gotten almost about 400 bicycles from us on pay-as-you-go, but there are 16,000 of them, and they are in different locations. So the Kaziwa women's group starts all the way from Monze, Choma, Kalomo, and Zimba, and there are 16,000. So, and they love our product. They want to have access to it. So how do we reach those 16,000? So this is where digital transformation with the help of Bongo Hive through the USSD and also the bike app was very, very critical. Now, some of the challenges that we faced, of course, was the issue of time, because when you want to implement something and roll it out, of course, you have a specific time frame. So we needed to come up with the USSD and the pay-as-you-go mobile app in 4 months. We probably just went a little bit over. I think we did it at least in 5 months. Messi is I think can vouch for me. And I think that was a record time. And also the opportunity was we were dealing with a local company. Most of the digital developers are from outside, either from East Africa, Kenya, for example, and also maybe the US or Europe. But Bongo Hive is a local resource with local people. So we found it extremely very easier to be able to come up and customize something that actually speaks to the reality on the ground versus us having somebody from outside Zambia. And the second challenge was also digital technology is not cheap. Basically, we had a very tight budget. So it's always important when you want to come up with digital technology that speaks to your customer as well as to the organization, and you want it to act in a certain way that provides you results, you need to make sure that you have sufficient budget to come up with such a solution. Because if you come up with digital technology, you can't say no. I can do this initially in this way and then expand it later. The solution may actually turn out to be even more expensive. So that's something which we had to engage Bongo Hive and say, listen, this is what our budget looks like. So within this budget, we're looking for this, and how can you be able to accommodate us? And I think Bongo Hive is very flexible and they understand. So that way you don't leave the critical elements of the digital solution that you want to provide. And I think finally, because we were doing this in the COVID time, I think in terms of scheduling and feedback, you know, COVID is very disruptive. So sometimes it was very difficult for us to like convene at an agreed time, because everybody, you know, had different schedules at different times. So we had to find a way in which we could harmonize and probably just came up with a calendar for each week to be able to agree on when we can meet and for how long. So those, I think, were the three challenges, but we managed to overcome them.
Thank you very much, Wyson. So before we go to the next question, this goes to our attendees. If you're joining us via Zoom, you can use the Q&A section to post in your questions, which we'll answer at the end of the session. And if you are on any other platform, you can use the comment section to post your questions, and we shall answer them as much as we can. So having highlighted some of the challenges that all three of you have faced, that is Selumesi on the part of where you're helping other organizations with their projects in terms of digital transformation, and with Loop and Onyx also coming to you, and they're more like your clients and they're going through the digital transformation on their projects. As Selumesi, what do you think businesses should do for them to actually have a successful digital transformation in their organizations after highlighting the challenges?
Thanks for this. I think this is an important question. So there is strategic value to digital transformation. So I think one of the key items in here is that there should be buy-in from as high a position in the organization as possible. If there's no alignment there from a strategic business objective point of view, then it becomes very, very difficult to convince the rest of the team that this is worth doing. In our particular case, I think we had the privilege of working with people who were leading the initiative. So this being Wyson and Alex. So that buy-in part was clear from the get-go. Following from that, there is an aspect in here where technology is always evolving. So as you are implementing, you have to be flexible to change. So things might be moving in one way and then, in a sense, might suddenly turn as you're implementing. So being adaptable, being agile, being responsive to change is important as well. And also having, let me call it, I'll call it digital literacy. And I hope I'm not being condescending to say that people are illiterate or anything like that. But just the understanding that technology is a certain way, and it is, I guess it is what it is. With a software developer, you become used to the fact that your tools change with time. But I can't imagine in a real practical sense. For example, if you go to every morning you go to your car and you start it, I can imagine it being frustrating if every 2 weeks the way you start your car is different. You know what I mean? So like technology has this kind of aspect to it in the sense of its, let me use the word behavior. So it's just being open to this ability. And I think Wyson, in his description of the challenges and how they overcame them, I think highlighted some interesting things along the way, in the sense that being adaptable, being open, bringing your team along is important, and the fact that digital transformation is an investment. So it might not pay off right here, right now, but the efficiencies over time will reap rewards, and we think huge rewards as well. So it's worth the investment, we think, but then again, we're very passionate about technology at Bongo Hive. But these are some of the things that come to mind, especially from a strategic point, as you're thinking about how to implement a digital transformation effort in your organization or project.
Thank you very much. So the next question will go specifically to Wyson and Alex. With your individual initiatives in terms of digital transformation, how have you been measuring the success? How have you been measuring the success of your digital transformation initiatives?
I think ladies first, so Alex, I think, can start.
Okay, so there's built-in analytics tool to see how many people are visiting the site, at what point, how long do they stay for, what are they doing there. So that's one element. On the Loop platform, we have everything transparent and open, so everybody can see who's been sharing what feedback, who's liked it, who's read it, what replies have they received. So that's something else we can track. You can see it on the statistics page. You can track over time how things are changing, what types of things people are talking about. But I guess the really big impact is, what's it changing? Are communities getting more of the type of support that they require? Are they getting what they ask for? Is there accountability in following up to issues? And that's something that we need to keep looking at. How do we get a statistical figure out of unstructured qualitative feedback and engagement through the site? So it's definitely something we're looking at different approaches to. But yeah, the analytics and the data that's available is incredible when you're using a digital platform compared to other types of more sort of face-to-face activities.
Okay, so for Onyx, it's very interesting because first and foremost, and until now, we just tried to open up our platform just to a very select user group, because we wanted to make sure that once we do the rollout for scaling, we make sure that we've taken care of all the glitches. So other than the customer profile, the analytics, the demographics, age, gender, and all these other things, I think what's very important for us was from the app that we developed was being able to create warehouses. So we can create unlimited warehouses, even above 1 million, if it came to that, meaning that these particular warehouses are helping us with the inventory, because we're in the pay-as-you-go business. The biggest headache we have is logistics. So I'm assuming 16,000 women from Monze all the way to Zimba want bicycles. We need to know from which location they can be able to pick up these bicycles. and how many have been ordered, and when is the pickup, and these other things which are required. So the app is able to do that. And then in addition, I think one of the challenges Alex also mentioned, I come from a telecom, so integrating with MNOs is really a challenge, because at the onset, when they are looking at a small startup like Onyx or any other players, with them, since you are not really generating revenue, they don't have the keen interest to sign you up as soon as possible. So it takes time. They jump when say Amazon came and say want to integrate with Airtel or MTN. they'll sign them up right away and start operating. So, but that is not a deterrent for us. So what we were doing is that from the platform which Bongo Hive has created for us, we are also developing an in-house solution where, because all our customers have mobile money numbers. So basically we've partnered with a UK company, which is going to link any of our customers with their mobile number to either a Visa or MasterCard. So that way, that does not require any integration from any MNOs. Basically, we just integrate them straight into our system. And when they pay, we actually identify them by the number that they are paying us using their mobile money. And the benefit also is that they're able to have a Visa or a MasterCard. And that also unlocks payment possibilities for them. And if they travel away from the rural area, if they're in town, they can be able to use their Visa or MasterCard to do any other businesses. So we want to be able to provide a one-stop shop and also enhanced payment solution for our customers, other than just on the pay-as-you-go. So this is in line with some of the things that we want to do, where we want to have digital and financial inclusion, especially for women and youth who have been marginalized, especially those in the last mile. So these are some of the benefits that we have created for ourselves, just being in the digital transformation space.
Thank you, Alex and Wyson. As you were both talking, I think from both your ends, I could get a lot about transparency, being transparent in your operations, being able to do inspection in terms of, are you doing the correct things, the people that you're saving getting the actual value that they need to be getting from your projects, and also adapting them to whatever changes that are happening, so that you remain relevant and your solution remains valuable to the people that it is serving. Silumesi, so this is a comment from one of our viewers from Facebook. They've spoken about a challenge with internet connectivity and the costs that are attached to internet. Has anyone that has worked with you in terms of their digital transformation ever faced such challenges, and how have they gone about mitigating such?
Yeah, this is an important question. So I agree with the person that asked the question that connectivity is quite costly, and also I guess both Alex and Wyson would have experienced this, where the coverage isn't as wide as it possibly could be. This is one of those where I used to think one way a few years ago, but my thinking here has changed, I think, over time. So 2010, around about the time when we were starting Bongo Hive, one of the reasons that we chose for it to be a physical location was so that there could be a place where people could meet physically, but also have connectivity to the internet. So that connectivity piece was vitally important at that time. In 2021, that has changed drastically. So access to internet is much cheaper than it was 10 years ago, and so is the coverage. And with the push that ZICTA is making to, I guess, with rural connectivity and things like this, we see that only getting better over time. So less expensive and more access. So we might have to be a little bit patient with this. It's not as bad as it used to be. And I think if you're able to jump on the wave now, As we're getting more and more people connected, I think you will be better able to address and reach the people that you want to. So perhaps not a direct answer to your question to the person that asked it, but these are some of the things that come to mind in terms of the opportunity, especially as more and more people will be able to access the internet in years to come.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. So for this next question, as we're waiting for more questions to come through from our participants, after all of you have done your initiatives, like you've measured the success in terms of your digital transformation initiatives, what is next? What does the future hold for each project? And as well for Silumesi in terms of Bongo Hive Consult, in terms of helping other projects as well, those that are trying to start their initiatives in terms of digital transformation, what does the future look like? I don't know who to start with.
We can let perhaps we can go Alex Wyson, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end.
So to me, once you're on the digital train, I think it's super exciting. I really feel like we're just at the very beginning of what digital technology can offer. And like was mentioned by one of the other speakers, you need to get on it sooner rather than later. Otherwise, there's sort of so much further to catch up, and you'll lose clients and potential and space to deliver. I think global internet connectivity is not that far away. I think in 4 years' time, everybody will have access to the internet. There'll be cheap smartphones that are more accessible, and there'll be, I think that machine translation will grow at a massive scale. So you'll have a lot more people who don't speak English, for example, who can engage really actively on the digital platforms. I think scale is massive through technology that you can't get, and the cost to scale reduces versus in real life. You know, if you've got a physical office, you have to get more offices and more people and more infrastructure, etc. So I think the scalability is massive, the potential, and the costs reduce with that. And yeah, so that's reach, scale, costs. It's all up for winning, I think. Yeah.
For me, if you talk about the future for digital transformation, I think it's amazing. It's very exciting. I'm going to probably define it in Zambia in terms of something which almost everybody understands. I hope everybody is a sports fanatic. But when you look at soccer or football, what we've just begun, probably myself and Alex, we are pretty much playing what you call the local league. But outside of the local league, you have the regional league. And from the regional league, you have the continental league. And then from there, you have the World Cup. The World Cup is more or less a global platform for digital transformation. I mean, already I was in Germany, Frankfurt in 2014. And at that time, the conversation for 5G was already underway. Machine talking to machine. They're already doing things which we're not probably even doing here, where basically you have a combined harvester using a SIM card and is able to plow, plant, irrigate, do the whole 9 yards without a single person manning it. I mean, so what we're talking about here, we're just barely scratching the digital transformation part of the technology. So this is very exciting. And for us to be the pioneers in this space, I'm looking in the next 4 years, basically what we're trying to do, I'm sure Alex is also trying to do that, where we want to be able to incentivize our customers to make the purchase of data almost zero. So I'll give an example. Some of the interventions which we want to provide in the future is that when you buy a bicycle from us or a solar light, or you buy a clean cooking stove, in your repayment, we'll probably give you maybe every week or every month, depending on the amount that you pay, say 10 GB of data or 2 GB of data, whatever the case may be. So that way you don't have to incur, especially for those in the rural areas. It takes a lot for them just to go and buy talk time. Later on, to be able to access data so that they can communicate back to us. So using technology as well, you can bring up interventions that actually can help these particular customers have access to data and talk time. Already, Facebook has free Facebook, the basic one. And then there are so many other interventions, but this is a very exciting journey. And like Alex has said, if you're not on the train, tough luck, because the train ain't stopping. And by the time you want to jump on board, it will be so far that even your station where you're at, the train won't come there anymore because it has become obsolete.
Thanks for that, Waisa. Thanks, Alex. I think for me, what comes to mind in terms of next steps are insights. So when you look at resource usage, allocation, and things like that, say you're a startup and logistics is important to you. If there was open data, for example, about, let's say, people's travel habits and things like this. If there was a way that we had that information today, right here, right now, we would be allocating resources in a very, very different way than we are at the moment because we do not have that information. So I can imagine with Loop, the project that Alex is on, and Onyx Connect, which Wyson is on, the 1 year, year and a half, 2 years of data that they've been able to collect up to this point will make them much more effective as they're going into 2022, 23, 24, and so on. So those insights that they're gathering right now will only build upon themselves and will become more valuable over time. So if you are not already implementing digital transformation, if you're not already collecting data about your product or service, it's likely that you will have a harder time competing against everyone else who has that available to them. So yeah, I think the opportunity for insights, for learning, for information, deep information about your customers' usage activity is incredibly useful as we're developing services going into the future.
Thank you very much. Oh, sorry, I just have to thumbs up, Wyson, for the train analogy. We shall definitely jump onto the train. We don't want to be on the wrong stations. We have a comment from Jeremiah Peary, who says digital transformation can be complex with MNOs. How can we simplify the process? Is it that maybe we should consider Zicta ensuring that all MNOs use the same or extremely similar technical processes like they did with checking or topping up of airtime? Any one of you would like to take up that? I guess Jeremiah is trying to ask how best we can simplify the integration with.
Yeah. Okay, so let me just start. I think so that question is actually very, very important, and I think I'm going to coin it in two sides. So the heads is us entrepreneurs. We have SMEs, small, medium to large enterprises, and I think from the regulator point of view. This is something I've already brought up in other forums where the Zicta should have a deliberate policy to kind of provide incentive for local companies or SMEs. One in the application of the USSD code. So I'll give an example. You have these big telecoms, and you have a small player like myself. We pay the same amount of fee when it comes to getting a USSD code. So I'll give an example, 50,000 kwacha for an MNO is pocket change. But 50,000 kwacha for me as an entrepreneur, that's hard-earned money. You know, I can't just spend it like that. And then of course, the tail side is where now you have to engage all the different MNOs separately in order for you to integrate. I think in this time and age, we should be able to have a one-stop shop. I mean, Zicta can be able to ask the MNOs, all of them, Zamtel, Airtel, and MTN, basically to provide basic integration, especially for small, medium enterprises which are local, easily and cheaply, and then also being able to provide incentives, so that way you are able to build your business for a certain period of time. So I think that question is a very important one, and it needs further engagement, especially that we have our partner Bongo Hive, who can already, like the way Bongo Hive has already done with Bank of Zambia for fintechs, as well as Loose and other regulators. So that way, you know, the sandbox, it's much easier to find information and also to get, you know, to get the business going as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much, Wyson. I don't know whether Alex or Sulumesi you'd like to add on, or we are good. Okay, I'll take it. Oh, Sulumesi. Alex, sorry.
I was just going to add, I agree. I agree completely. I think there's a role to play at the coordination level, at the government level, to make things more simple. And there are plenty of countries that are doing it in a sort of coordinated fashion, where it's the same way of integrating. There's a central system to do that. And I think that will help small and medium-sized entrepreneurs and enterprises to get developed. So there is a win-win for all actors. It doesn't need to be a comparative sort of fight. It really is. When we want to use mobile operators, we want to be able to speak to everybody, and so it can only benefit everybody from taking that approach.
Yeah, I think definitely agreed. I don't have much to add to either what Alex or Wyson have said. But in my mind, it's a competitive advantage. So if an MNO is able to onboard people faster, that's a competitive advantage to them. So that's the way I'm seeing it. But Zicta can definitely help as being a layer in between to provide some kind of a consistent way of onboarding. Thanks, Jeremiah, for the question.
Thank you. We have one last question that is coming from Facebook. It says, with respect to marketing, what is the best, most efficient way that comes to the minds of the panelists? What are some practical methods of enhancing marketing in digital space?
I think I can answer that question. The basic answer is social media. So the best way of marketing, you want to reach hundreds of people. I mean, you start with your mobile phone. Pretty much you have all your WhatsApp contacts there. So you sign up for WhatsApp business. And then you blast what you're doing to everybody that knows you. And get overwhelmed with the response. Facebook is the same, as well as Twitter. So I think those are the primary, simplest and easiest way, you know, for you to market yourself. And just put yourself out there, and you know, and participate in forums like the one we're having, and let your voice be heard, and then people will start getting to notice you. Thank you.
Okay, I think due to time, we will have to end here. We've had amazing response from the audience, amazing questions. We will see how we can collect more questions if there are any coming through the comments. And I think you will be answered one way or another via the comments, the platform that you are watching us from. At this moment, before we close, I'll just quickly ask each panelist 1 minute each to just give us last words.
Seems to be ladies first here, so I'll start off. I think that my closing words would be, we're at a time, if you think about when there was the Industrial Revolution, and people moved from smallhold farmers into factories and things like that, and it was an opportunity for many people. It created a lot of change, but in the end it lifted a lot of people out of poverty, and it was a benefit to society at large. And I think now we're at a similar phase of change, which can be scary, but is actually going to lift a lot of more people out of poverty and into opportunities that we can't even imagine yet. And I think that's really exciting and a great time to be around and to be involved in creating that change.
So for me, like Alex has mentioned, in comparison to the industrial revolution, I'm going to say the digital transformation space is actually a war. So when you imagine you're at war and you want to make sure that you are a victor in that battle. In this case, the SMEs, medium, small to large enterprise organizations are at war in providing quality service or products to the end user, who's the customer. And if any of these SMEs do not create a digital war room, then I don't know what kind of ammunition you're going to go with to the battle, because the battle is fierce. So imagine you have a digital war room where you can be able to analyze every move your intended target is going to make. You can even predict what they're going to do. I mean, that is already happening, for industrialized companies. I mean, they know all the buying patterns. They even know what you're going to buy next week, So this is something which is a game changer for all businesses. If you don't go digital technology, I can surely let you know that you're going to be left behind. And now we are moving to a cashless society. We are moving from pretty much in-person transactions. People now will be able to order coffee, and coffee is delivered to their home. So these are the times where, like Alex has said, either on the bandwagon or you're left behind. So please, as individuals, as businesses, and as entrepreneurs, this is a time for you to also be in this industrial revolution of digital transformation space. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I think in closing, my reflection is that we are at a time of unique opportunity. So I feel incredibly optimistic and incredibly privileged about for example, the people that we get to work with. So being on a panel with Alex and Wyson, and having worked with them and seeing the different problems that they're trying to solve and the passion for which they're trying to solve them. These are exactly the kinds of people that we like to be able to work with. So I believe we have others listening as well. There are huge challenges, even if we just look at Zambia as a local geography. With all the challenges that we're facing, surely some people on this call have solutions. And for you, I'm speaking directly to you, Bongo Hive would like to be able to help. So there's a digital and technology might seem very intimidating, and we want to extend a hand and say we want to be part of helping you provide that solution. There are more than one way. There's more than one way to grow and build a solution. And we think that there's nothing wrong with slow and steady, figuring out strategically, methodically, carefully, figuring out what your problem is, working that problem until you find a solution, and then getting gainfully rewarded for that. So please, if that's you out there, feel free to reach out. We've recently moved, so if you go to Kalingalinga, you won't find us. We're now along Katima Mulilo. But please feel free to walk through our gates, email us, and reach out. We would like to be able to help you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lumesi, Wise, and Alex, for your time and giving us some wonderful insights into your digital transformation journeys and initiatives. And I hope to see more people participating in digital transformation initiatives. And thank you very much for all our attendees or participants for joining us. And this is the end of our discussion. Hopefully the discussion can still continue on the numerous platforms in comments, and we can continue advising or pointing you to the right resources. Thank you very much. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.